Welcome, everybody. Um, Thank you for joining today. Just to start off, want to say congratulations to everybody is here, who is here. If you are here, it means that you've been admitted into your program. So congratulations. I do think since it's a fairly small group today, it would be great if everybody could put into the chat which program they're accepted into. I recognize some names, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to remember who's in which program. And then we'll get started and do some brief introductions. And that way, if anybody is in the same program and you want to connect with each other, you're also, of course, welcome to do that. Uh, Brief introduction about myself. I'm Stephanie. I'm one of the associate directors here at GSEHD Admissions. I, along with my other admissions colleagues, have probably been in contact with you in your journey to getting to this point of being an admitted student. So now we're really here just to help answer questions that you have about next steps and making the decision about whether you're going to attend GW. We know that that's not a decision to be taken lightly, and we want to make sure that we give you all the resources and tools to know if GW and GSHED is the right fit for you and your goals. I see one organizational leadership and learning program. Wonderful. Feel free to share in the chat which program you're in if you have a chance. If you don't have access to chat right now, we can always share later as well. So we'll go ahead and jump in. So we can talk a little bit about kind of GSHED and the GSHED experience and GW experience as a whole. Then we can talk a little bit more about the kind of financial part of the decision of grad school, as I know that is probably for most people a contributing factor, if not a main contributing factor to whether or not you're going to choose GW or any school. So we just want to give you some tools and resources and things to think about as you make that decision. And then we'll talk a little bit about next steps once you're ready to make a decision about whether you're going to enroll, kind of what that looks like from a slightly more kind of logistic side. So, just a couple quick notes about the history of the Graduate School of Education and Human Development. You can see by our name alone that we are not just a graduate school of education, we encompass human development as well. So, things like counseling programs, organizational leadership and learning are both a part of our graduate school, along with kind of more traditional graduate school of education programs, which means we get to learn a lot between departments and share a lot of resources between those departments that in a lot of schools may not get the opportunity. The graduate school was also founded in 1904, so there's a lot of history not only at GW as a whole, but of course within GSHED as well, that you would be a part of if you choose to enroll at GW and GSHED. Because we're working with people in a lot of different disciplines, right? Whether it be a K through 12 setting, whether it be higher education setting, whether it's corporate setting, governments, we know that our students are going into a lot of different fields and taking on a lot of new challenges. And in each of those specific fields, we're very focused on making sure that they're most prepared for those fields. So you're ready to walk into the classroom or ready to walk into the higher education environment and be a leader and be a contributor in those settings. Programs like our Human and Organizational Learning Program and Organizational Leadership and Learning Program, we see people in all different kind of career kind of industries have really amazing trajectories and are often on executive track. And then we have people who are elementary school teachers. So we see a lot of variety in our graduate school. And I think that is a really great opportunity for us as a graduate school, because we're a fairly small school. If you look across GW, it very much feels like a small school within a large university. So we get a lot of opportunities to learn from each other. So, a few things about why our students have said they've decided to enroll at GW. Location is definitely a big factor. If you're already in the area or you're looking to relocate to the area and you're choosing an on-campus program, probably the location has something to do with your decision. And also the fact that the GW community is diverse in many different ways. Again, we have programs and faculty with a lot of different backgrounds and students who are maybe more traditionally right out of undergrad all the way to students who are many years into their career and returning to education for the first time in a long time. um, so there's all kinds of students and walks of life represented at GSHED and at GW. Also, you get to learn from the faculty and their expertise, particularly in a lot of our programs that are, say, like counseling or K through 12 education focused. The faculty often have recently been in the kind of K through 12 or counseling setting. For some of our counseling faculty, they actually still have practices that they are actively involved in at times. So they are both active in the field themselves while being kind of contributing to the next generation of counselors, so that you really get a tangible understanding of what it means to be a counselor, to have an LPC, to be working in the field. Just a few fun facts about our faculty that kind of show you the breadth of students that we see here at the Graduate School of Education. It looks like we, I know we have some programs represented that are definitely on campus. Is anybody admitted for an online specific program? Not sure. Well, if you are, that's great, and it's probably a slightly different experience that I think we can highlight and talk about a little bit as well if you have questions. But because we do have some international students who are actually doing online programs, we have students who are on campus, we have students who are in Virginia, we have students who are internationally based. And here's just a little bit more information about a handful of alumni if you're interested in seeing what a career trajectory might look like for specific programs. And then we can talk a little bit about what the kind of typical GSHED experience looks like as a student. I will say this varies quite a lot program to program. It also varies depending on what you're putting into it. What I always say, especially as a graduate student, is that you really get out of the experience what you are willing to put into the experience. It's a slightly more independent venture than an undergraduate experience where you hold the reins a little bit more, and we're here to help and guide and facilitate and give you all of the tools necessary. So we don't have just one kind of typical type of student at GSHED. We have students who are working, who are not working, who are many years into their career, who are just out of undergrad, who are from the area, not from the area. I will say that the majority of our students are working at least part-time throughout some portion of their program, maybe full-time, depending on the program. For the majority of our programs that meet on campus, they are evening classes. There is some exceptions to that, but for the most part, they're late afternoon evening classes if you're on like our main campus classes. Most of our students live um, with within like Virginia, Maryland, DC, if they're commuting for classes in person. Obviously, depending if you're in person or online, you're going to connect and communicate with your faculty and your other students differently, right? Depending on your mode of learning. One nice thing about being on campus is that our faculty building and our staff building are just a couple of buildings away from each other. So if you ever have questions or you need support, staff is here and faculty is here just a little bit down the road. And we do have events on campus for current students to try to build that community as well. So it's something to keep an eye out for once you are an enrolled student. And connecting with faculty is probably number one, I know, for a lot of students. And our faculty really understand that. We are a graduate school specifically, which means our faculty really understand that connection between graduate students and the faculty is a big part of your decision to go to a specific school, and it's a big element of your success in a program and a school, and they don't take that lightly. And so because of that, our faculty, I find, are very supportive of our students' goals and their ability to succeed in their specific programs. So the very important question of financial aid and funding your graduate education in general. I imagine when you all applied, you had some ideas maybe of what that funding might look like for you, but still had questions, which is absolutely understandable. The first thing to make sure that you understand is what is your tuition, which seems simple, but because tuition changes every year to some degree, we want to make sure that you're really thinking about what your tuition is for the semester and year, but also thinking long term for the program. Our tuition rates are always published per credit hour. So if you're a part-time student, if that's what you've chosen, you would likely be taking 6 credit hours, maybe sometimes 3. If you've decided to enroll as a full-time student, then it would be 9 credit hours or more to be considered full-time. So your tuition rate would be different, right? Depending on how many hours you're taking or how many classes you're taking for a given semester. Keep in mind that the program is the same length, whether you take 3 classes, 3 credit hours or 6 credit hours in a semester, your whole program is still going to be 32 credit hours or 60 credit hours, depending on the program. So we encourage you to do that math of kind of overall cost of the program as well. And then consider what your tuition and fees will be for your initial semester. You all hopefully should have seen your admissions letter in your portal. If you haven't, we can chat in another email or conversation to make sure that you can access that. If you were awarded a GSEHD specific scholarship, it will be listed in that admissions letter. So make sure that you can read it, and B, understand it, right? Because there's a couple different lines in there about requirements and the total award amount and the award amount per semester. So if you're unsure about any of the language in the letter, you can absolutely feel free to reach out to me. I'll share my email at the end of today. If anybody has like specific questions or questions that are maybe something you don't want to share with the whole group, I'll happily share my email as well. I know a lot of graduate students are considering federal financial aid and loans and what that will look like for them. I always suggest filling out the FAFSA just to see what your options are. Even if you don't want to take or plan to take out loans, if you don't have to, fill out the FAFSA, see what your options are. Talk to the Office of Student Financial Aid Office just to get more information about what your options would be from the federal aid side. They're somewhat more limited for the graduate level than they are the undergraduate level. So they can help you navigate that a little bit. External scholarships and private loans are other avenues of funding that students might consider. External scholarships is something that all of you who are in this call have a very good opportunity because you're kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to external scholarships if you are planning to attend in the summer or fall of 2025. Because a lot of those scholarships are starting to have deadlines like January, February, March 2025. If you are planning to start a program later in the year. And many of those scholarships require that you have admission in order to apply. So you're half of the way there already, right? And then the next step is to research some of the external scholarships that you might be eligible for and start applying to as many as you can. They're typically smaller funding amounts per award, but there's a lot of different opportunities out there. We do have a kind of short list on our how to fund your graduate education page. If you haven't taken a look at that yet, I highly recommend, because you guys are in a really good position to take advantage of the timing of those external scholarships. There are some on our kind of short list that are more field or program specific. There are some that are more general, some that are more identity specific. So take a look, see if there's anything that's applicable to you. And there's also search engines that are linked within that page that give you a much broader, kind of wider scope of potential external scholarships and fellowships. The last, but definitely not least, is employment opportunities like work study fellowships and assistantships. For GSHED specific graduate fellowships, like research assistantships, those are typically reserved for doctoral level students. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't take advantage of other fellowships and assistantships and work study that are happening across campus, whether they're in GSHED or not. You can also take advantage of the employment opportunities at the university, whether they're full-time, part-time, or student worker positions. That's one of the first places we always recommend if somebody is not employed full-time or part-time in the area and they're looking to at least be employed part-time. Start by looking at what employment opportunities there are at GW and then expand your search from there. Something to think about when you think about funding is obviously the kind of mathematical side of what do I owe and how will I get to that amount, but also to think about what this means in the kind of grand scheme of your future and investing in your future. Generally, the earlier you start and complete your graduate program, the better cost-wise. Graduate schools typically are only getting more expensive, not less expensive. So start as soon as you're able to start is our recommendation, right? Make sure you're ready, make sure it's the right program for you and the right school for you. And once you know that, the earlier you start and finish the program, the better. Again, the scholarships and grants can be extra work, right? If those are outside scholarships, but it will absolutely be worth it if you're getting awards to help relieve that funding stress at all. And again, employment opportunities anywhere you can find them if you're interested. Something to keep in mind as an admitted student, you can take advantage of our student success and career coaches even as an admitted student. So if you're coming into the program and you're thinking about current employment in light of graduation and what you want to be doing after the program, talk to your student success coach and career coach. They would happily chat with incoming students and help you start thinking about kind of building blocks to where you want to be when you graduate. They're a great resource that I wish our incoming students took advantage of more, because it really helps you get ahead of the game so that you're not kind of worrying about that in your last semester before graduating. So this is specifically for once you're sure this is the program for you or the school for you, and you've had all of your questions answered and you're ready to move to the next step, then it's about accepting your admission in the admissions application platform. Not sure if any of you are at that stage yet. If you're not, this is something to consider. Once you kind of submit your decision that you're going to accept your place at GW or GSHED, these are a few really important steps. Claiming your GW email is kind of first and foremost, because once you decide to enroll, all of your communication is going to go to that GW email. It's really important to get that set up and to either check it or forward it to your personal address so you don't miss any important information. Another document more related thing that's not listed here is official transcripts. So if any of you were admitted with unofficial transcripts, which is mostly, I think most of our students, we do need official transcripts normally by the time you're starting classes around then. So an official transcript means it's sent directly from the institution to institution. So your home institution would be sending us the transcript directly. If any of you, which I think some of you might have degrees from outside the US, if I'm remembering correctly, um, your official transcript evaluation would be what fulfills that requirement. So if it's sent from the evaluator to us, then it's official. And it doesn't say unofficial on it, then that's the official copy and meets that requirement. The other thing is if any of you are planning to seek F1 or J1 status, once you decide that you're going to enroll is the time to start collecting your I-20 documents if you're seeking F1 visa, because that process can take quite a bit of time depending on where you are in the world. So something we always recommend starting early if you can. If any of you are in a position to get to DC in March, we would love to see you at our spring preview day. We typically have a lot of admitted students at that day, and so you would potentially get a chance to meet with other people in your program, slightly depending on the program. But we also have faculty who attend the spring preview day, so it's just a great opportunity to get a bit of a taste for what campus would be like, what GSEHD is like once you're on campus in person, interacting with faculty, interacting with us and fellow students. It's just a great opportunity to see that for yourself in real time. Also keep in mind that this is the first of probably many events that we might invite you to that are specifically for students who are admitted or kind of in the next phase of the enrollment process. So keep an eye out for your emails or events. And also just know we are here to answer any questions that you have. We know this is really the decision-making time for you guys, which it's a very exciting time, but also we know comes with a lot of processing and thinking. So if you have questions or you just need to chat with somebody about kind of your thought process about your decision, we're happy to help. We want to make sure that this school and this program is the right fit for you and the right fit for your goals. Nina has put quite a few resources in the chat, so thank you so much, Nina. If anybody is interested in some of those resources, take a look in the chat. Make sure you save those in case you're interested in going back to them and reading later. But I want to try to save a little bit of time for questions. If anybody has questions they want to put into the chat,